everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Nayla's Thrift Talk. I'm Lola.
And I'm Nay.
And a huge thank you to everyone who's tuning in at another unusually scheduled show. I think after the holidays, our schedules will probably settle down a little bit. But today, this week, we both are getting our booster shots. Nay, sounds like you've already recovered from yours.
Yes.
And mine is tomorrow.
So here's
So
my after booster picture.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to dissuade anyone from getting their booster because it's well worth it. As you guys know, little PSA, my dad passed away from COVID and it was horrific. And he would have loved to get a vaccine and couldn't because they weren't available. So, in the sacrifice, the little sickness that I had was well worth the protection. Yeah. And I had some symptoms for about 24 hours. So that night it hit me really hard and I had fever, chills, nausea. I was pretty sick overnight. And then yesterday morning, which happened to be my birthday morning, I went back to bed, slept till 11, woke up and I felt so much better. And today I feel back to normal. So, it was really worthwhile, and for 24 hours of symptoms, I got through it and now I'm fully protected. And, and if I know you can catch COVID after you're vaccinated. However, your likelihood of being hospitalized or dying from it, like my dad did, is much, much, much.
Right. So, and I just kept thinking after my second shot that, like, if this was a preview of COVID, I definitely didn't want actual COVID. Like, I'm so glad I got the vaccine. Yeah, Angelique, I hope so too. So the second also kicked my butt a bit. I was pretty sick for like 48 hours. I remember just like laying in bed and I kept spraying my face with like a water bottle because I was so feverish and it was so uncomfortable. But fingers crossed. I mean, it sounds like Nay's booster went easier than your second shot also. I've heard that from a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, my second shot was, I think my symptoms lasted longer. The overnight was a little rough, but again, I got through it. I slept, I stayed hydrated, and it is what it is. But
my plan is to have some like Christmas movies queued up, and if I'm up for it, let's do some knitting, and just kind of like settle in for the ride and hope it doesn't last too long. But that's why we're doing the show today, which was the day that we were fairly certain neither of us would have side effects, and
exactly,
we nailed it. So today we're going to talk about our favorite tips of 2021, and it was really fun to go back through the episodes we've done this year and pull out some of our favorite bits of advice, the pieces of advice that we follow ourselves in our own reselling and thrifting. Some of the tips were more about thrifting. And I think we had some really good ones to share. So I'm excited to kind of do a rewind with everyone.
Yeah. So we're going to do our regular segments first. So what are we wearing that's thrifted? So Lola, I see that beautiful neck on that and I'm very curious.
So I think I've worn this once before, but I decided I'd put it on today. Excuse me, I'm a little congested. Put it on today because I wore this to get our Christmas tree on Saturday. Chris and I had a great day. We actually met up with my parents. We went to the first Auction Ninja auction that I had bought something at to pick it up. So I shared that table that I lost that I still mourn, and I'm still kicking myself I didn't just go for it. But I did find another nice table. It's also MCM and it's not put together yet. So once it is, I'll share some photos. But I just had I felt like this was just such a nice, cozy, like not overtly Christmassy, but it just helped me feel a little festive. So we picked up the table and then we went and got our tree. And this is it actually started out as a dress, and I bought it at Beacon's Closet in New York several years ago. And I knew when I bought it that the skirt was like really moth-holed, but I washed it carefully and I cut it off at the waist and hemmed it and turned it into a top. And it's really 70s, has like a little, not I guess I wouldn't say call it a flare sleeve, but it's pretty wide sleeved, and then this
Yeah,
amazing collar.
that collar is
And it looks just as nice inside out. Like the collar actually is fully reversible, which I think is pretty cool.
oh, wow.
And the brand, I remember researching it before the time I wore it before. It seems like it was this shop in Paris that would sell like actual high-end designer clothing, but sell it at a deep discount, and they take out the original designer's tag and put in their own. So like you don't know which designer it came from. But I remember when I felt it on the rack, which we will jump towards at some point in our favorite tips, I think, that it just felt really like high-end fabric. And
Mhm.
so I was not surprised to finally figure it out that it was most likely a designer piece that I don't know which designer, but it's definitely high-end. So
Yep.
it's a good
Yeah,
find.
and, it's really pretty. Is it cropped, like, or is it how,
Yeah, I actually ended up cropping it a little bit.
okay, so it's short.
So
Okay,
it's like
nice.
right, yeah, like these are
Yeah,
a little bit like medium waist
okay.
pants, but I did it just because of the placement of where the moth holes were, and not because it's trendy. And then I lucked out because now cropped
Yeah, now
shirts are
cropped,
really
but it's
standard. So,
beautiful. Wow,
yeah, thank you.
amazing. And
And
so first I'll say what my mannequin is wearing. So this was actually a sweater from last year from
ooh,
the
that's fun.
I got a Christmas sweater blue box, and it ended up coming so late that I just didn't get them all listed or sold on time. So I'm hoping to sell it this year. I did just list it. It's got these beautiful beads on the bottom. And if I don't sell it, maybe I'll wear it for Christmas. I don't know, but it's it's pretty, and it is vintage. It's got I forget, it's an 80s label.
It's super 80s, just
Yeah,
looking at it.
so
Yeah, super 80s.
I'm trying to see. BP Designs. It's not like a known label or anything, but it's definitely
Hmm.
it's made in USA and all that. So,
Yeah.
and then I am wearing. So this hat was thrifted. I think I got it paid like $1 for it. It's just H&M, but it's like a cute little kind of beanie
Hmm.
beret kind of. My earrings, I think I've worn these before. They are straight up 80s, and I don't remember when or how much, but I paid a couple dollars. Um, and then it's like that velvety kind of material. It's a little
Oh,
oversized.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely 90s. It does
Hmm.
not have a tag, like a brand tag. All it has is a paper, like faded paper, crinkly tag that I can only make out like made in USA on it, and the size, and like it's very, very worn, but the paper tag indicates that it's definitely like 90s. It's got to
Yeah,
be.
and just from the style too, that all
Yeah,
seems to match. Like it's a super
yeah, it's like
90s kind of grunge style.
yeah, it's got like a cowl neck, and I
Hmm.
did originally I thrifted it for like $5, and I originally thrifted it with selling it in mind, and then I was like, no, it's mine. So, that happens a lot. So,
Yeah.
and our thrifted home decor items of the week. Let's see. Thank you.
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So I have them right here. I have actually two, and they are holiday themed. So I love to thrift wrapping paper when I find it, especially
Oh,
vintage.
yeah.
So this is
That's so
definitely,
fun.
I think it's Stephen Lawrence. It's like early 90s. And
Hmm.
I looked this up. I could probably get like $10 for this little roll but I'm probably going to use it, because I love actually wrapping presents in vintage paper.
Hmm.
But it's really cute. And I don't remember. I think I paid like $1 somewhere, not like in July for it, a couple years ago. So it's but whenever I find rolls of vintage wrapping paper, I always
Hmm.
will buy it. So
Yeah, the wrapping paper is one of those things that I always have like a hard time using, just
mhm.
from an like ecological
Yeah,
standpoint.
I
It's just such a
know.
needless like, but it also is so fun. So using vintage wrapping paper
Yeah.
is just a really nice way to
So
cut
one
back a little
thing
bit.
I will do, and I know this does add a little weight, but where you're allowed the weight, where the weight doesn't matter so much, I will suggest
Mhm.
this. I save, like after the holidays, I will save a bag of wrapping paper and I'll reuse it as packing paper. Just
Oh,
to
that is
fill.
really
I mean, you
smart.
can't really protect things like you need bubble, you need,
Right.
peanuts better.
But
But if you
as
need to
like a
fill a
void
void a
fill.
little bit, yeah,
Mhm.
that it works well if you don't have to worry about adding the extra weight.
It's
So I
funny
will.
because I've also done the opposite thing, which is save some of the like brown paper packing that
Mhm.
some like companies use to ship the items. And you can like iron it out if you
Ah,
use a
yeah.
really low heat setting on your iron and turn off the steam. And then if you want to get fancy, you could like stamp it or doodle on it, something like that. So you can also use the void fill from packages you receive as wrapping paper.
Right. I also have this guy. This is something that I
So
thrifted.
cute.
Yeah, like a few years back, I paid like a buck for it. Again, I don't think I even bought it like around the holidays. It was just,
Mhm.
so this is actually hanging on my door right now. I am not decorative. I don't even have a tree yet. I'm just not really feeling the holiday spirit as much this year.
Yeah,
But
I mean, everything
yeah,
you've gone through this year.
yeah, it's been, but I do have, this is like my only decoration that's up right now, but
Yeah. I'm sort of surprised that I have been a little bit on top of things because I guess this year we're hosting Christmas. So Chris's parents are coming into town, and their sister and her girlfriend are also coming in. So all the way from LA. So
oh,
that'll be really fun. It's the first time we'll be seeing all of them since like
nice.
pre-pandemic. I think the last time I saw them was like summer 2019, maybe. So it has been a long time, and I've definitely gotten into overdrive, kind of getting everything ready and thinking about how I want to decorate like the dinner table. That's why I was in such a, I was so determined to get a new table because our current table like won't accommodate 6 people. Um, so actually that is exactly how I wanted to introduce my thrifted home decor for today. Another thing that's I bought for Christmas, but is not inherently Christmassy. I'll probably use throughout the year. Um, I really wanted to find this item at a thrift store because I know I've seen them in thrift stores so many times. But I also wanted to try to take some things off my plate and just check them off my list without, worrying too much about running out of time or running to every thrift store in the area. Um, and I saw a local vintage store was selling this set, and they happened to have like a sort of Black Friday sale. So it was like 20% off or something. And I just decided it was a nice way to get that off my list and also support a local business who, does similar things that I do. Nay, that was the place where I sent you that photo. I wish I had thought to pull it up. When I went to pick it up, they had this really nice display of beautiful Vera scarves. It was just like all Vera
Oh,
scarves.
yeah, yeah, they were
Yeah,
gorgeous, yes.
very
I
cool.
love
But so this is
yep.
what I got. It is a whole multi candle holder set.
Oh,
So the
nice.
like,
Oh, I
and
love when they're, like, different elevation or different heights.
yeah, so they're really nice. I mean, they're in fine shape. I could probably clean off some of the patina, but I don't know if I want to. Um, and I've definitely seen sets like this in thrift stores. I'm sure at
Oh,
some point,
yeah, for sure.
if it wasn't bought from like an estate sale, it was bought from a thrift store and
Mhm.
resold. But I can't fault them for that because that's exactly what we do. And it was easier for me to do because they were on the website. I bought them online. I picked them up when it was convenient for me, and I didn't have to keep my eye out for multiple thrift store visits
Yeah,
to get them. So,
absolutely.
um, with my luck, I'll probably find one when I do next go to the thrift
Of
store,
course.
but I don't have to stress
Do
about
you
it.
have candles for them?
I do not have candles for them yet. I was looking at some online, and it's like there's like nice fancier ones from Anthropology, and there's like cheaper ones that look just fine from Michaels, and I'm like debating which ones to get. But I'll probably just end up grabbing some from Michaels and calling it a day. So, um,
Nice.
But
We actually talked about that as a tip at some point this year too, that brass candlesticks. I know we talked about it in one of our shows this year.
oh
So
yeah, I think we've mentioned brass a couple times. Brass items are still going strong,
so that ties
and
into our show.
they're fairly easy to find. They're not. I think now there is a little bit of a run on them, so they don't last long on the shelves. But if you're going thrifting on a regular basis, you'll find them. And
Yep.
I've also seen them in lots in a lot of the estate sales that I've been shopping for furniture at online, like on the Auction Ninja. So um, I have been tempted to pick up a lot and part it out and, keep the pieces I like and then sell the rest. Yeah.
Angelique has a question about the candles.
Ooh, yeah, I bet those would look beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm also very into the colored glass candlesticks. I was also debating on, getting a bunch of those and like mixing them up, mismatching them. But
Lola, by the way, I do have to say thank you for
you did. Oh, good.
Yes, I ran to Dunkin a little bit ago, and I did get my first. Lola treated me, surprised me with a Dunkin gift card for my birthday yesterday. So I have a peppermint mocha almond with latte with almond milk, but yeah, so it is yummy, and thank you so much. So
I'm so glad you were able to grab some coffee. That was my thought, was like, you can enjoy it for the show, but
yeah,
I wasn't sure if your schedule would allow. So that makes me happy.
I did run out before the show, so thank you. So I do have something to show for this one. So so this is a surprise, and I know I talked about it on a past episode. I was looking through this one. I don't think it was on this one, but we did talk about duds this past year. So we did do a few dud episodes with our viewer duds and with our own personal duds. So this is one of my personal duds, and it has been listed for so ridiculously long that this was on my old kitchen countertop. I saw a little tiny bit of the counter in the photos. So I haven't lived there for 2.5 years. So it's been listed longer than that. And I just could not sell these guys. So I did sell them with free shipping finally after all this time. And they went to California, but I said to Jason, because he's the king of FOMO. I said, do you think I can FOMO these? Because they were vintage Japanese China, like very, very delicate porcelain. Yeah. So yeah. So he's like, well, how big are they? And I was like, here's a banana for scale. and then he was like, you need to make some banana bread, yeah. The kids did have banana pancakes the next day. So.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, I'm really into banana bread French toast right now.
But I sold them, and I was able to FOMO them. I was very careful about it because he was like, yeah, I think you can do it. So it saved me so much. So it was like $14 to ship to California versus like $8.75 with the added flat rate. So it was really saved me a lot. And I ended up very carefully FOMOing. They were delivered, I think, yesterday. I haven't had any, knock on wood, any complaints or anything. So hopefully they got there fine. But like, I think unless a truck like ran over them, I really, really was careful with the packing. So hopefully they're fine.
And Lisa says she thinks the problem was the title. So I was going to ask if you could flip back to that. Vintage fine quality Lego. What's Lego about them?
Is that the brand?
The brand is called Lego, but not like.
The brand, the sticker says fine quality Lego.
Weird. Okay.
That's what the sticker.
Yeah. So I think Lisa is onto something. I would have definitely switched up the order. Put cows first, probably, because it's pretty far back in the title. Of course, if people are browsing mostly by photo, they may not.
Yeah. I've had them listed forever, and I know I've changed the listing, I've changed the title, I've changed, and they just haven't. They've still sat. At one point, I redid the photos. That's how old it is, because these photos. But they finally sold for $30 plus. I did free shipping, so it was $8.75 with the shipping. So you figure, I made at least like $20 or so on them.
Yeah, I think the brand name might have also been a problem because I could see people
Yeah.
stumbling upon it looking for Legos.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of the views might have just been, people who are confused or
yeah, that
not
does
what
make it
they're
a little
looking
confusing.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I definitely agree with Lisa. I would have put like cows and China porcelain or something like that in the
Yeah.
first few words. But
Well,
they
they
sold, so it's fine.
yeah, but it was just like that was definitely a surprise, a holy cow, if you will.
Okay, so this is a new brand to me, but people do collect Lego
Oh,
Japan. So
okay.
maybe these were made in Korea, but it's a Japanese company. Is that so?
Oh, oh, you know what? I guess it was.
Or
I
was it
guess
Japan and it
Korea.
was just
You
mislabeled?
know, it was no. I didn't mislabel it. It was Korea, but I think I said Japan. Yeah, but yeah, they were made. Whatever it was Korea. So.
Oh, okay.
Holy cow! Yes, I did say that. So I was trying to make a joke there. Okay, so. All right, so we still need your show topic ideas. We do have some shows slated for next year, but we still need some ideas. So please keep sending your suggestions to us, nalothrows@gmail.com. And next week, this is going to be our last show of the year. We're going to take a few weeks off for the holidays, and we'll be back back in January at some time with a new topic. We don't have that yet, but we'll let you guys know. But next week, we're going to be doing a holiday thrift haul on Friday at our regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. So we're both hosting Christmas this year. I'm having a small gathering, just my mom and my aunt and uncle and us. But I do like there's a few things that I need. I'm going to be searching for some wine glasses for the table. I don't have any, and I want to put like some sparkling cider out for the kids, and stuff like that. And so I think it would be nice to have a set. And I want to also find there's some other things that I might find for entertaining and maybe some gifts and decorations and whatnot. And if as an added bonus, perhaps some things to flip. So
Yep, that's my plan too. So, like I mentioned earlier, I have a whole list of things I'm hoping to thrift. I've gotten a chunk of them already found, but I will share those besides the candlesticks. And I plan to go to hopefully both of the small local charity thrifts that I've mentioned before that I really like, and probably Goodwill, Savers, if I can get out there. It's a little bit further away, but I'm kind of curious to hit as many places as I can and hopefully find items that will work for all of my ideas. And then, like they said, if there's also some stuff to flip, even better. I think it would be really fun if at the end of the haul we could or at least this is my goal for myself, but like to break even so that I know I can recoup what I spent on all of the items with whatever profit is available. And if I could also cover some of the other holiday things that I've bought already, that would also be great. But that's, I think, a stretch goal. So we'll see how I do.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm going to be hitting as many stores as you might be able to just because of my schedule, but we'll see.
You tend to find better stuff in the single store. My issue is that I feel like the really good finds are kind of hit or miss. So, and especially because my ideas are pretty specific. Like if I was just looking for, a handful of awesome stuff, that's fine. But with really specific ideas in mind, I think I have to hit a few places. But we'll see what we're both able to do. It'll be fun.
Yep, we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get some good stuff. So we're gonna get right into our show. So our 10 tips. So the first tip is. So this is under promise and over deliver. From our 10 reseller tips for great customer service. This is from October 29th of this year. So, and it was actually our bonus tip. The label's covering. So if you go back to that episode, you can find it. That was actually our 11th bonus tip that we kind of added on. So go back to that show. Of course, all the tips in that show, as far as we're concerned, I think we had some great tips. but that was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I think, it's just call out flaws. Don't over describe on condition, or over describe, like make it better than it is, on condition. Don't ever try to hide the flaws or
Don't use terms like excellent used condition or something when they're vague.
yeah.
And also suggest that things are in pretty perfect shape if there are flaws in your item. Like,
Right.
don't use, even though they're commonly used phrases that suggest things like that, if they're not accurate and they're not helpful,
Yeah, I
they're
agree.
going
And
to come back to bite you.
yeah, you can extend your handling time and then ship faster, upgrade your shipping. Our hair. Yeah, well, it is funny because we have like both of us there and we're looking at, our different, yeah.
And that was
I
that
think
show when we like matched perfectly without planning it in
good
like
point. Yeah,
very specific colors. Yeah.
that was the show. Yes, that was the show. Yes, very, yeah. So, and we've done that before, I think. Like the one week we had a sweater on that was like the same exact color. And
Yeah.
so extend
Yes.
your handling.
Angelique, that's exactly what the
Yeah,
intention is,
exactly.
to say
Yeah.
better than expected. And that's not a dig at you. That means that you exactly did this right. You under promised and over delivered.
Yeah, so you can upgrade your shipping, like sometimes I will put first class but if it's a close by, or sometimes I'll even put media mail, but I'll end up shipping first class, or if it's close by and I can just send it priority, I'll do that. It depends on the scenario, but also ship faster than your handling time. If you're not, if you don't have like a 1 day handling time, you can ship faster. Yeah, basically just exceed buyer expectations and you'll have happy buyers all the time. So
Yeah.
that's it. So
Mhm.
our next one is you gave this one, Lola.
I really like our facial expressions on these.
Yes, I tried to get good screen captures, but
Yeah, Nelly, that's a great point. I actually just saw that when I was looking back at my eBay purchases, and I think it was that very shirt that I was wearing in that first clip where it said like rare, hard to find, and it like I bought two of them within a couple hours of each other, so like it wasn't actually that hard to find.
what kind of aggravates me too is EUC, or like
Oh yeah, it's another pet peeve.
yeah.
It's rarely true and super vague, so, and very subjective. So anyone can say, "Oh, well, I thought it was excellent condition," but that doesn't help your buyer, and it definitely sets them up for disappointment if they don't agree. Um, Rapid include note. Yeah, I definitely scaled back what I do now compared to what I did at the very beginning when I
Yeah.
was selling on Poshmark. And I think we mentioned this in an episode before, where like, it used to be that they really encouraged free gifts, and nobody really expects that anymore. Some people actively dislike it. But I usually just wrap with like a piece of tissue paper and some scrap yarn that's like a fun, funky color. And I don't do notes, but that is a good idea, especially if it's just very simple. Like, here are my other stores. Um, Here's where you can find more items if you like this one. Oh, Nay, you have something to say about this, I think. Same day handling time.
Oh, you mean with
On
what happened?
Poshmark specifically,
Oh,
but we'll talk about
yeah.
that later.
Yeah, with Poshmark, somebody had reached out to me that they wanted the item overnighted, and you can't do it on Poshmark. You can only do priority, and with the post office right now, I can't even guarantee that priority is going to actually be the 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I was actually thinking of their change in policy. I thought we were going to talk about that under news, but maybe we won't.
oh I didn't. I didn't even add that to the news. I forgot about that.
Oh, well,
So
we can add it in because I'm sure between the two of us we can talk about it. Sorry,
yeah,
that's the most
that's what
vague
you're talking
tease for
about. Okay,
everyone watching, but yeah. Yeah, that's what I always feel like. It's trying to get it, and it does make the buyer feel gullible. Like, I felt dumb when I saw that on the thing I bought, and I was like, that's not true. I would never have put that in the title. But then like I also felt like, oh, well, does that mean I overpaid because they thought that they were gonna snag me with the rare description? It's just I guess that's just a pet peeve of mine now. Yeah, so this is not a specific tip from a single episode, but we did 2 episodes this past year. And then of course the cottage core episode, which was actually late 2020. But it's really helpful to stay up to date with new trending keywords like grand millennial, coconut girl, cottage core. I have a couple other things or aesthetics that I think we might cover in 2022 that are fun, because pretty much all of these, they're not grand millennial because that's a millennial style, obviously because of the name, but a lot of these are kind of Gen Z driven, very big on TikTok, but they all have, at least everyone I'm familiar with so far, has some kind of root in buying secondhand thrifted vintage items. So it's already what we do. It's likely items that we already own. And so we can think about them differently. We can use different keywords, but I think it also just keeps the, they're definitely among our favorites to do for sure. And it just keeps thrifting fresh and exciting. Like, you're not always looking for the same Bolo brands, or you're not always looking for the same kind of style or just high-end items. Like, it gives you a way to look freshly at items that might otherwise be maybe low dollar, or think that you might think they have a small audience, but the audience has recently grown. So it's just a good way to mix things up and keep learning and thinking about different ways to market items, different audiences to reach. So I really have fun learning and reading about these aesthetics and trends and doing the shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Jason, for joining us for that one, because Jason is an expert in the tiki, and sometimes the aesthetics, the new trends kind of overlap other trends, and that's a good example of one that kind of, that overlap tiki a little bit. So we had a tiki expert there who helped us to, to talk about some of that and how it overlaps a little bit. So, yeah. And our next one is to pay attention to the brands included in the brand specific Poshmark parties. So that's from Poshmark brand parties to know from January 29th of 21. So there are specific brands on the Posh party list. So and we talk about this, go back to this episode because we talk about how to access them. But you can actually see a list of the brands. It's the afternoon Posh party that has specific brands on the list. Like the night Posh party is pretty open, and those are a list of brands that are trending. They're currently trending. They're what you should be looking for while thrifting. They're very popular, and they are the brands that you should be paying attention to and listing. And if you have them in your profit pile already, you want to get those listed.
Prioritize. Yeah. And I feel like I've noticed since we did this show, it's an even more relevant tip now because they're doing a better job at updating the party like brand lists and also the party themes. So I think I did see like a cottagecore party was a whole theme. I think for one of the like 10 p.m. parties. So it's an even better thing to just keep your eye on now because they're doing a better job staying on top of current trends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Real Reels consignment brand list, great way. I think I've said this before, but if I'm like bored one day, I will pull up their current list and look through for brands that I don't know, and then Google them and see what they're going for secondhand and where they're originally sold and what their styles are. The Vogue Runway app is really helpful just to look at like what their recent collections look like, because those are also the things that will then trickle down. Like if you remember that famous scene in The Devil Wears Prada, fast fashion brands. You've never seen it?
Never seen it.
Oh my God. Oh, okay. We have to fix that. It's such a good movie and it definitely holds up. Like it's been quite a while, probably 10, 15 years, but it's not like a dated movie. It's
not like I didn't want to see it. I just have never happened to watch it.
You will appreciate it from like someone who sells clothes standpoint for sure. Yeah, learn what their tags look like. That's another great tip. So, if you're looking at other people's listings, try to see if they have a good photo, close up, clear photo of the tag so you can memorize it.
Yeah. So that's definitely a good tip. And the next one is yours, Lola. So this is from
Yeah.
this episode it's from March 5th of 21, and it's tips for new resellers, 10 rookie mistakes we made that you can avoid.
So I should have taken our own advice a little bit better. I picked this one because it was an issue I had this week, and I'm just kicking myself. So I had a bunch of sales over the weekend, and I ran out of ink in my printer. And I didn't think it was going to be an issue because I ran out of yellow ink and I was printing the labels in black and white, but nothing was coming out, which is just like the most evil thing that printer companies do. So I was able to, I actually ended up switching back to a laser printer. I have that just is just black and white because I don't really use the color printing anyway. And that way I know it'll last longer. But I regret so badly not just buying a thermal label printer years ago.
I finally have bought one, and I am loving it. Plus,
So
I'm not taping labels anymore. So
that's a huge, so I just waste so much money between expensive ink and packing, like clear packing tape. It doesn't make any sense.
it's so
With
easy.
all the money I've spent on those things combined, I could have bought more than one label printer by now.
Oh wow, there's a lawsuit on it now. Brian says, yeah, that is
Oh,
because when you just buy, you think you just need black ink, and then that's.
But yeah, like a label printer is a pricey investment. It's not the most expensive thing in the world, but I was looking through the refurbished ones, really
I
not
got
bad.
mine just about this time last year. I think it might have been actually like a Black Friday-ish deal online on I think did I get it? I forget if I bought it on eBay or Amazon now. I think it might have been Amazon. But I paid like $150 for it, which is cheap.
So that's sort of the budget I was looking at, and there are a bunch of like big, well-known brands that were refurbished or secondhand that were in that price range, and then a whole bunch of them on Amazon that were sort of the no-name brands I was a little hesitant about. But
it is a weird brand. It's like I forget what it is.
And yours has been running fine. Yeah. So I just actually wanted to throw that out there. If anyone has a recommendation for a specific printer, or if they see a really good deal, please send that my way. And I definitely now would tell new sellers, like, if you've done it for a couple months and you're sure you're doing this long term, like when you make that decision, go buy your thermal printer. And even before then, though, make sure you stock up on all of your shipping supplies. Don't hesitate to create an area where you store them all together and it's near a table where you can do your shipping. Just from the beginning, make everything streamlined, set it up with the tools you need, buy the postal scale. That's probably the number one thing that you may not have at the beginning, but you need, and it's like $15 on Amazon. Order free priority mail packaging from the USPS, get your free eBay shipping supplies if you haven't done that yet. Like, get it all set up for you to make everything better, and it will completely prevent so many of the early frustrations that I know I had, that I think are really common, where there were times when I was first selling on Poshmark, like before I joined the thrifting board, way in the early days. So I didn't know a lot yet, but like I would run to the post office and have to walk 20 minutes there and 20 minutes back to grab a free box and then slap on my label. Because I didn't know you could go online and order all your packaging materials and have them sent to you in bulk. So definitely take the time to think through what you need and make all of those things easier for you if you're a new seller.
I just put the name of the.
Okay, so that looks like one of the brands that came up on Amazon. Yeah,
it's kind of like one of those off brands. Yeah, but I mean, it's been going for a year with no issues whatsoever.
Okay, that's great to know. Yeah, because that's my one concern, is that they're just going to be lower quality, and then you don't have the whole company to, you know, call customer support if it's not working after a few months.
Mine also has Bluetooth capabilities, but I have never actually used the Bluetooth. That's why I bought it too, like for the and then I ended up just using it plugged in. So you know, it's
and I'd say that's a great tip for even not brand new sellers. You might have all of your items that you need, but if they're not all easy to grab and organized, if your inventory isn't organized, you're going to waste a lot of time. And I think it was Brian who first said that in one of our episodes, that time is your most valuable resource, because you can always make more money, but you can't make more time. So
yep. Our next tip is this was actually one of Lola's tips. So it's from 10 of our best thrifting tips. That was June 24th, 2021. And this was actually Lola's tip, which was the number one best thrifting tool is your curiosity. And I just loved that tip from that show. So, so it was just such a good tip, because it was one of those, like, mine were kind of more conventional for that show, and Lola was really kind of thinking more outside the box. And it's so
it was
true.
a good mix, I think, though.
Yeah,
I was trying hard not to duplicate, because I was worried we were going to come up with the same tips, which is totally something we would do.
Well, we share a brain, so yeah.
So
it was just like, you know, your curiosity incorporates knowledge from every aspect of your life. And so you were saying, like, there's knowledge to be found everywhere, and keeping an open mind and listening to others helps you. And there's nothing you can learn about that won't help you while you're thrifting, and keeping your curiosity alive is so important. That was basically what you were saying, I think. And I don't know if there's anything that you can add to that.
Well, it just sort of connects back to something we've already talked about today, which is keeping things exciting. Like when I was talking about the different trend shows, whenever you're learning something new, you have something new to look out for. It just keeps everything fresh. And I think that's one of my favorite things about thrifting, is that every time you step in a thrift store, it's like a new adventure. And it should always feel new and exciting, because there's always going to be something new out there that you haven't seen before. So using your curiosity, I think, is just a great way to, like, keep your mind still thinking and sharp, and always expanding into new inventory ideas, and learning new things, and leaving less and less money on the table because you're passing up fewer, you know, good items. And we have so much room to grow no matter how long we've been doing this. And that's part of what makes it so fun, and like a really awesome way to make money. So
yep. Yeah, that was a great tip. And number 6 is, don't be afraid to take a chance, especially on low or no cost items. And that was from 10 tips for thrifting your wardrobe from September 24th of this year.
Yeah. So, thank you, Nellie. That is exactly what I think we aim to do. And I'm glad to hear that we're doing it. So this top is a great example of this. And I've also, I think, specifically said the tip to, like, thrift with your hands, go through the racks and feel the fabric and learn what really high-end fabric feels like. So that was one of the reasons I bought this. I don't remember how much it cost, but it was pretty cheap. Beacon's Closet does the same kind of like color-coded discount tags as, you know, most thrift stores do, something along those lines. And it was the color of the week or whatever. It was like 50% off maybe. And it was already pretty well priced. I think it was like originally priced at like 36-ish, and then it was like 40 or 50% off. So even though I knew it had some issues, it was just such a cool, like, the collar just like called to me. I could feel that it was high quality. And I was like, I know I can figure out a way to make this work and to last in my wardrobe for longer than it would if it was just, you know, discarded as a damaged piece of vintage clothing. The way that I think I mostly conceived of this when we were first talking about it is more about like trying styles that you wouldn't ordinarily gravitate to, that maybe feel a little bit out there for you, but you like the look of it on, you know, like Instagram. You've seen people wearing it and you don't know if you're brave enough to, like, that's the perfect time to do all of that, to take a chance on that. And if it doesn't end up being something you love how it looks on you, then you redonate it or you list it and sell it and maybe make a profit or at least break even.
Yep.
And it's just like a completely affordable way to expand your style, to think differently about your wardrobe. And that, like the curiosity part, like it's just one of my favorite things about thrifting and one of the reasons why I first fell in love with it.
Yes, I agree. That was a great tip.
Oh, Sue, I haven't seen that yet, and it's definitely on my radar. House of Gucci with Lady Gaga.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I might have to add that to my list of movies to watch while I'm recovering from the booster
Yeah.
shot. And
Yeah.
then maybe we can talk about it.
Is that on Netflix now, or
I
is
forget
that
which. It's on one of the streaming. Maybe
okay?
it's HBO Max or something. I forget. Sue, if you remember, let us know in the chat. But I'm pretty sure I have access to it because I unfortunately have subscribed to way too many of those services right now.
Yeah, me too. I get billed like for my
Yeah,
like what and I'm like, oh yeah, I have like the Lifetime, the Hulu, the Disney Plus, that it's like, yeah.
Especially around the holidays. I just really love Christmas movies, so I like resubscribe to Disney Plus, so I have all the access to those, and I'm like, I have to use this subscription as much as I can because I'll cancel it in January.
Oh, my kids love Disney Plus, so.
Oh yeah, if I had kids, I would definitely keep Disney Plus around.
So this one is also from the same show that we talked about a minute ago, Tips for New Resellers, 10 Rookie Mistakes that we made that you can avoid. That was from March 5th. And the tip is, it's okay to do things your own way if it works for you. So yeah, so definitely, I think this was my tip from that show. So you don't have to follow a set standard of doing things. As long as your system is working and ensuring your growth and success, there is no right or wrong as long as it's working for you and it's working well for you.
Yeah.
I have had an issue with, where I will try to organize myself to the standard way that people think that you should be organized is, and then I can't find anything, and I have like issues with. So my organized mess system sometimes works better for me, and that's okay. I don't have to be I don't have to be completely like ridiculously meticulously alphabetized, organized. Can I organize better? Absolutely. And, in a way that works for me, absolutely. But I know that I'm never going to be color coded and alphabetized. For some people that works, but for me, there's no way. I would freak out. So, I think, if you have a system that if you can find your inventory, if you're not like, looking, scrambling to look for your inventory, you're able to ship quickly. And if your system works, keep it, whatever works. So.
Yeah. And I think that's especially true. Like I know both you and I have ADHD, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
So our brains are just wired a little differently. And sometimes the most obvious advice that works for 90% of people doesn't work for us. And I think there's probably, I don't have any statistics on this, but there's probably a higher rate of like neurodivergence among resellers than the general population because there's so many advantages to doing this if you don't fit the mold of a 9-to-5 job. Like if that's hard for you to do and that's why you like gravitated to reselling, then you probably already don't thrive on common wisdom, and it's that much more important to figure out just what works for you.
Yeah, I know that there's, some people that say, oh, I list in batches. I list this way. And you write down all of your measurements and you write down on a piece and you put it in a spreadsheet or whatever. And, for me, it's one day I just feel like taking photos and that's okay. I'm just going to take photos. One day I might feel like, doing everything sequentially. And the next day I'm all over the place. I'll start taking photos. I'll stop. I'll go, there's a squirrel and I'll go, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't have that kind of focus, and that's okay as long as I get things done. So,
yeah. I definitely feel that. I think I've talked about how I've utilized both methods of like one item at a time versus batch working through stuff. And it honestly kind of changes for me. Like one time I feel like my attention will be held longer if I do it item by item. And then one day I feel like the only thing that's going to capture my attention for a few hours is doing measurements. So I just do
Yep.
that.
Yep.
And that's what works for me. And yeah.
Yeah. So definitely. I know like Jason had a little contest in the Secret Beach for who has the most banged up totes, Rubbermaid totes. I was like the only contestant. So
I wish I'd seen that because I have some pretty banged up Rubbermaid totes.
but it works for me. You know, like my totes, my banged up totes work for me. So you know what? I'm not going to change them until they are absolutely like falling apart and cracked in half. So, you know, I am not like, you know, some people were like, oh, mine are clear and see-through so that I can see what's in them and everything's stacked and labeled. And you know what? Mine are not like that. So
No, you know what I've been doing is when I put things in the tote, I'll just take a picture with my phone, like every kind of few levels of stuff, so I can remember what's in there.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is tip 8 is think outside the box to find value in your inventory. So this is from Talking Lots from April 9th of this year and all about ads with Jess.
Mm-hmm.
So this was yours. Oops.
Yeah. So I feel like the moral of the story for both of these episodes was just like relook at all of the stuff you've got. If you're about to take it back to the thrift store, if it's just not moving, there might be another way to think about it. So, you know, either lotting it up with similar items or doing the opposite and parting something out and selling it, you know, piece by piece instead of the whole thing. Which is, you know, mostly true for say like electronics, but there's other things that also could be parted out, like in the amazing episode that Jess joined us for and shared all of her knowledge about selling ads from magazines. You could part out a magazine page by page, and that might not be what occurs to you. It didn't occur to me until Jess mentioned it. That's how the whole episode came about. Was I had all of these very, you know, interesting vintage magazines that I can't keep because I'm allergic to them. And I wasn't sure how to best kind of, you know, flip them, whether it's I bought them a lot, I could sell them, or
just happy to be here.
Sorry, I was trying not to play it. I'm trying to pause it there. Okay, so here we go. I was trying to bring this.
Yeah,
up.
toys and games. Like if you have part of a rare board game, there are board game collectors who are looking very hard for that specific piece that they lost. So that's a great example. And yeah, so you know, go back to those two episodes, and as much as like our specific, you know, tips in those episodes and Jess's specific tips in that episode might be helpful, it's also kind of a good inspiration, like jumping off point to then like relook at your sale inventory and think, okay, what can I do with these things? And just think outside the box.
Yeah, so that's our episode with Jess, and
yeah, totally. Even if it is complete, you might make more money that way.
Yep, absolutely. So our next one is always be on the lookout for basic wardrobe essentials. This is also from 10 tips for thrifting your wardrobe. And which was from the 24th of September again. So we showed it in that episode. And basically it is just, sorry, I come back to my notes here. Yeah. So when thrifting for yourself, even if you're out thrifting or sourcing for resale, always keep in the back of your mind to look, your eyes peeled for those basic wardrobe essentials. Because even if you're reselling them, everyone's looking for them, like the basic black dress, the black pants, the denim jacket, all of those. And you want those good staple items in your wardrobe too. And you want some good solid, like you can get some high end brands, and you want those to last. So that's a great way to get those essentials, and always be on the lookout for those basics.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think that was a great tip for that from that episode.
Yeah, and I'd say, high-end brands don't always correlate with actual quality, but often it does. So when you find that gem that's like a brand you couldn't afford new and it's still in great shape and it's your size, it's just like the best feeling. But it's also really fun to find like older J. Crew pieces when, back when J. Crew was a little bit higher end. Like I would say it's always fast fashion, but the quality of the craftsmanship, I think, has gone down over time. And that's true for a bunch of those kind of level brands. And so you can't walk into a J. Crew and find that high quality staple that will necessarily last you as long. But if you find one from the early 2000s, it might actually, be the perfect thing to keep you going for several years with that staple.
Yep, absolutely. So, and then our last tip is to find your community. And this was also from our 10 tips for resellers, our rookie mistakes that you can avoid episode. So
yeah, I sort of alluded to this already when we were talking about, getting set up as a beginner, because there was just so much I didn't know until I started, joining the thrifting board and watching other YouTube shows. This was long before we had ours, but um, I learned so many things that I didn't know to ask questions about. Like it wouldn't have occurred to me if someone, I think, probably mentioned it on, a Facebook comment or something about, ordering your supplies on USPS. And I had never even thought of that. So it's so helpful to find your community from the beginning. But I think our two duds episodes was just such a great reminder of that, because I felt like everyone was so supportive. Everyone was so willing to put themselves out there and be critiqued. And then everyone who was doing the critique was giving such great advice. And we kind of all like pooled our knowledge for, a couple episodes together. And I think, had some really great feedback. On those specific items, but that was also, kind of good ideas for all of us going forward about how we write our titles and, take our photos and stuff like that. Oh, Jason, what did you miss? I think we talked about you a couple times. You may have missed it. I'm surprised your ears weren't burning.
yes.
Yes, Angelique, exactly. Find your positive community. And when I say find your community, that's sort of part of that tip, I think, is that like find the community where you belong, because it isn't going to be the first basic Facebook group you necessarily join, or it isn't going to be the chat of the first YouTube show you start watching. Like it might be a little trial and error to like find your people.
Mhm.
But your people are out there. Our community is big enough that, there are the right spaces for you. And like, I know for me and Nay, it is super important to stay positive, and to
Oh, yeah.
not, and that's something that I think I learned early on from Jason's group. Like,
Yeah.
don't just complain about the platforms that we use. Don't just complain about how slow USPS is. Like, talk proactively about what we can do to mitigate if we do have issues. But don't just, find people who want to complain and get it off your chest. Every now and then that's fine. Nay and I do it sometimes, but it's not 90% of what we talk about.
Yeah,
I definitely want to do it again. It was so fun.
Yeah, so we talked about the thrifting board in this episode, and that is definitely a positive community. That's not, I know Jason runs his group very well, because any slamming, or I mean, the word scammer is not allowed and only able to be used when it's like very, very rarely, when there's an actual like Nigerian scammer, or something, that's yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Very good. So yeah, so there is no negative energy, and it's shut down immediately. There are other groups on Facebook, other reseller groups, where it's all day all about whining and complaining and trashing eBay and USPS, and I don't know how people get anything listed or anything done, because all they're doing is complaining, and that's just not productive, So find a group like the thrifting board where, things are positive, and you're not gonna, and sometimes, you do get sucked down, like, where you realize, and you're kind of hand slapped, like, hey, you're spending too much, people will tell you, like, you're spending too much time on this. Is this really, you're wasting. Even Jason has yelled at me, like, I've texted him about things, like, oh, I'm, whining about, complaining about a sale or a buyer or something that went sideways, and he's like, really, you could be listing right now, and it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's like a waste of your emotional energy. It doesn't solve anything. And I mean, I think that's a great thing in the thrifting board that especially Jason always reinforces is like you you're not actually solving the problem if you're thinking about it emotionally. So take emotion out of it and focus on solving the problem, or focus on just letting it go if it's not something you
yeah.
can fix.
And it helps to have a community too, like, Lola and I will do listing challenges. We'll encourage
Keep
each
each other
other,
motivated.
and it
Yeah.
helps to have, that circle of friends in the reseller community who, like, I can message Brian if I don't know very much about video games, and if I find a video game, I'm in the thrift store. If I'm standing in the thrift store and I find a tiki mug, a video game, like a magazine with ads, I'm trying to think of random things. I can
Yeah.
message Yes, I could message Jason or Brian.
Ask if it always makes my day when people message Nay or me to ask about like yarn.
Yeah.
I love to know what yarn you're finding. Like, yeah.
If you find something Christmas, like, I could message Ginny and,
Yeah.
say, hey, should I, it does help to know those people in your community that have that expertise that might be outside of your realm too. So, and you can share your expertise with others. And
And Brenda, it's so true. Don't be afraid to leave a group that's filled with terrible or
definitely.
just a lot of negativity. Like, you can move
Yeah.
on. You're not beholden to stay in any place that doesn't feel right to you.
Absolutely. So I do want to ask you this, Lola, and I guess I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I had I have my idea of this. So what is your absolute favorite episode of 2021?
Oh my gosh, like, I don't know how I would pick. I think I already mentioned a few of my favorites. Like, my favorite tips came from some of my favorite episodes. But then there were some that weren't as tip focused that were also great. So I loved every single guest episode we had this year. It was just so fun to talk to people. I do think I'd have to say that maybe my favorite episode is the magazine ads episode with Jess, just because it was all so new to me and something that fits right in with what I personally gravitate to thrift. So I just learned so many things that I could easily apply, but like talking about electronics with Brian, like, I still am a little intimidated, but I know I have to get over that. So that definitely helped push me a little bit. I just haven't been thrifting that much in person, so I haven't had a lot of chances, but I'm definitely looking closer at the electronics than I did before. So and then just like every unboxing and thrift haul, like,
these are
it's just
our
fun.
episode started about here with fabric, and so we've done a lot of episodes this year. I think mine have to be, I mean, always, I love doing shows with you, Lola. I love the chat. I love, all the contributions from everyone in the chat, speaking of community, but I love our guest shows that we've done. We did the one with Brian, with Jess, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
We've done a couple with Jason where he's, sat in as a guest, the Coconut Girl episode and a couple others, and our Pride Month celebration show with Craig and Rick. They had some great tips.
That was so fun. I was just cracking up the whole time. Yeah.
And our night show that we did with Matt and Aaron, where they talked about,
so amazing.
Yeah, and they talked about how they saw on Pop Shop Live, and they talked a little bit about Shopify and some of those things that, all of that expertise and knowledge that we don't, that's not that expands our own, knowledge and everyone else. It's great to share. And so I love our guest episodes, and I hope to do more of them in the coming year. So
so that's, if you're watching this and you have an area of expertise that you are really excited to talk about, email us if you want to be on the show, because I can't think of a single topic where we would be like, we're not interested in that. If you have a niche that, even if it's something that overlaps with ours, but you have a different angle on it, like, come chat about it.
Yeah, our 1K celebration show, that was great too.
That was really fun. It was so fun to have people popping on. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had Craig and Rick and Jason generously donated prizes, so that was so much fun. Yeah, so I like Poshmark information. Yeah, and we could do more on that too.
I would love to do another Poshmark focused show. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to learn some new platforms, and so maybe in the coming year we can talk about that. So if you have ideas for episodes, please let us know. And so we do have some breaking news. So the one that I was going to talk about, so it seems like there's a little bit of sketchiness here. I'm not sure. Like I was reading some forums, and apparently Poshmark has a policy, although I've seen it on a couple of Poshmark boards where people have canceled. They have a 3-hour cancellation window.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, after within 3 hours of purchase, they can cancel. So don't ship within 3 hours if you sell something on Poshmark, because they can cancel it if it's not scanned by the post office yet, which most likely it will not be. You can have a big problem because the item
it could be out of your hands but not tracking yet in that 3-hour window.
Yeah, and then it would be really hard to recoup your funds that way. So so I don't ship within 3 hours, but now people have canceled within 24 hours. So there was a post on one of the Poshmark groups, and it was legit, where someone canceled, I think 19 hours after the sale. And she was told, and I saw this in a couple places, that Poshmark is now allowing new users, which apparently, according to Poshmark, is 2 years, which to me is not a user.
30 days maybe. But
yeah, they're allowing them 24 hours to cancel. So now I'm like, do I not ship within 24 hours? I don't know. So the one person Poshmark did refund her money because she had already shipped and it hadn't gotten scanned, and it was like 19 hours later. And so they did work with, so contact customer service if you do have an issue like that, of course. But they also said that they don't have that policy. But then another Poshmark rep said that they do. So there's kind of like their information there. But it seems like they might be allowing new users, meaning 2 years or more or less, to cancel within 24 hours. So if I hear any more information on that, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll have to keep like our eyes out for maybe some clarification or whatever. Hopefully Poshmark says more about this policy, because it does feel very counter to the general expectation that a lot of buyers seem to have, maybe from Amazon, that like you ship right away, especially this time of year. And like I was saying to Nay, for a while when I was really sick, I had a hard time shipping within, it took me 2 or 3 days to ship my Poshmark items, and my average shipping time went really high. And I've been trying really, really hard to get that number down. But if I'm risking myself by shipping within 24 hours, like that makes me really nervous. But that's what I've been trying to do. So it just feels like a hard place to be in as a seller. And I might just risk it and keep shipping as soon as I can. And
I mean, I shipped yesterday. I sold something and I shipped it like 4 hours after the sale. So
okay, yeah.
I figured if it happens, I'm sure customer service would, because they are pretty good with honoring, like.
And to be fair, like most of my Poshmark sales are fairly low dollar. Like it's once in a blue moon when I'm selling an actually high-end item that went for a lot of money. So
I think in that case I might hesitate.
Then I might wait, but if it's a $15 sale, then like I'll just ship. And if I'm suddenly out that money, then better to keep my metrics up. Like that's the more valuable things.
Yeah, so we'll let you know, hear more. So the next one is, so Depop. I've been seeing this for a while on Depop. So Depop is like the last platform that you just get paid immediately through PayPal, like eBay used to be. So they're going, like how eBay has managed payments, they're doing something similar where it's called Depop payments, but they're moving away from PayPal and onto like where you're going to have to link up a bank account, and it's the same kind of thing. So I have not gone into it yet because I like the immediate pay from PayPal, but they are going to force everyone into it by January 10th. I'm seeing a lot of notices on my account, a lot of, they're kind of encouraging you to move over, and now they're forcing you to by January 10th. So
part of me is actually really glad, because I have not done Depop payments yet, and I keep forgetting about it. And it's the only reason I'm still using PayPal, really. So, half the time when I'm sending money to a friend or something, I just use Venmo, which is also a PayPal product, but it's a different account. And I totally forget when there's money in my PayPal account now. And it'll kind of streamline things to have,
Yeah, I mean,
as weird as it is to say that like an additional different payment system is going to streamline things, it just seems like it's more in line with like what Posh has already always done, Mercari, what eBay's doing now. So
yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, so you will not receive payouts until your account is verified and has a bank account connected. So yeah, you're gonna have to do this stuff. So
but it takes, once it's done, it's done. It doesn't take that long. So
yeah, so I will, I'll make sure that I get it set up. So if you are a Depop seller, get that set up before January 10th, because otherwise you're not going to get paid. So, and then this one is one that we found. So apparently these rare gowns, this is an important piece of fashion history. These rare gowns were found in a trunk and they are gowns they're made by a French company called Calos Soir. I speak French and my accents are horrible. So it's basically Calos sisters. And they didn't realize that they had survived, but they actually have like there's some pretty famous paintings and photos of the subjects actually wearing these dresses. And they're gorgeous and they're in great condition. And so this was a kind of an interesting article. They were found they just happened to be, it was a Louis Vuitton trunk that they were found, of course.
So I think that the trunk was actually found a few years ago, but this article is just like super well written, in depth, has so much fashion history and information that I think would be of interest to anyone who likes to sell vintage clothing. And it's just kind of fun to dream about that day when you find something like this yourself.
Yeah, so it was an interesting article. So we will
super interesting.
And then the last one is you had sent me this link.
Yeah, so this is also sort of along the lines of the other article. It's not like super breaking news. It's just a recent article that I thought was really interesting and relevant to us because it talks about Amazon, the book side of Amazon, which of course used to be almost all of Amazon, is now a much smaller part of the platform. And it does talk about like small third-party booksellers, but also just sort of the weird things that happen with the pricing algorithm and how it's impacted authors. It was a really interesting side or perspective on selling on books on Amazon that was recently in the New York Times, and I think is pretty informative and just like a good thing to kind of be aware of what's happening and how some authors are seeing it. And I can't imagine that anyone watching this is selling weird copies of independently published books, which seems to be the majority of this. But it's a platform that we all use either as sellers or buyers. So I thought it was relevant.
And then we have a few sales for our market report. So Lola, this is your sale.
Yeah, so this was such a fun sale. I remember messaging Nay probably like several months ago, maybe it was this summer. And these pants I had listed on eBay for years. And I have been meaning to retake photos for ages because my photos were terrible. And someone offered me like $16 for them. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take this offer that is like kind of insultingly low and use it, or I'm going to reject this offer. I was definitely tempted to just be like, get these pants out of my life. But instead I was like, no, I'm going to take this as inspiration to pull them out, take new photos and relist them. And then I listed them across a couple. I put them on Posh and Depop, and sure enough, they sold on Depop for $35.
Awesome.
Much better than 16. Yeah.
That might have been the best platform.
I think it really was. So that's a great example of, we definitely talk about that a lot, but finding the right platform for your items. And I love Depop. I have definitely way too many things in my death pile that I need to get photographed and listed because they belong on Depop. And so I will definitely be, I'm newly motivated to keep working on that after this sale because it was just really, really good feeling.
Me too. And you had just shown this on our
this was from our thrift haul. I think the offer I accepted was 26. So I don't remember what my estimate was. I meant to look that up before the show, but I think it was about in line with my estimate. Like I listed it at 30, expecting to get a best offer of like, I was maybe hoping for 28, but willing to take 26. And I think that's right around what I
Not
did.
bad. Yeah, that's good.
And it's so fast, so it was nice.
And what did you pay for it? If you remember?
Either $5 or $7.
Go back to our episode because I'm sure it's in there. Yeah, but yeah. So.
Oh yeah, I have it written down from the episode somewhere, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
And then I sold this fabric.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So Jason I know he liked this fabric when I showed it.
That is gorgeous fabric.
Yeah. So I had gotten some really low ball offers for it. I only had a yard. So that's why, $40 is not bad plus shipping. It's not bad for a yard. It did sell for the full $39.99 with no offer. I had gotten some low balls. I've gotten like $10 offers, a lot of $20 offers. And I kept countering because I knew that if I held out, it would sell because it was beautiful fabric. And sure enough, someone paid the full $39.99 for that yard of vintage fabric. And I think it's well worth it because it is gorgeous.
Yeah. So, and a yard is unfortunately like a very small amount for making garments out of it, if that's what people were thinking about. But if you wanted to use this for like pillow covers or something, a yard's going to get you pretty far. So
yeah, I mean, it depends. Depending on the project, they could do something really awesome with it. So I think it was. And then this was kind of a dud sale. It really wasn't a big sale. And I have had these listed forever. I had them on eBay. And usually, you think big and tall sell well, but this, I guess, is just a dud brand, and they just sad. And so I finally accepted an offer for $15. He offered me 10, and I countered at like 20, and then we ended up at 15. And I was like, you know what? You can have them. So, I mean, I didn't make much on it, but I was happy to get it sold. And I don't think I spent much on them. I might have gotten them for $1, like on one of the sale days.
No, that's great. And then it's also a larger, bulkier item to store. So it's probably nice to just have that space.
Yeah. And it was good that they sold on Poshmark too, because they were a heavier, bigger, more, heavier weighing. So, going that priority, it felt justified for them to spend that amount, I'm sure, on the shipping. And so I was happy. That was just one of the items I was just happy to see go. And
I thought you were going to talk about the buyer.
I didn't want to mention his username on air because I didn't want to share his username, but he did have a funny username that was related to the fact that he was big and tall and large. And so it was kind of funny. So his username was enormous something. So I won't give away. I don't want to give away the buyer's username but it was pretty funny. So, and, but he was kind of making light of the fact that he was obviously a big and tall guy.
It was cute. Yeah.
So I think it went to someone that will appreciate them. So what is your favorite Nalos Thrift Talk tip from
or episode? If you have a favorite episode,
let us know in the YouTube comments. And again, next week, I forgot about our where you can find us. Let me pull that up real quick. Lola, so do you want to talk a little bit about this episode?
Yeah, so I talked a little bit about it more at the top of the episode, but Nay and I are both hosting Christmas this year, and we both have some decor items that we're hoping to find. So I am excited to do a little thrifting and enjoy the fact that they do pull out, more Christmas decor items around this time of year and see what's out there. I said I had a list, but I didn't mention it. So I'll say one thing I'm looking for is some fun mismatched china, which may or may not be holiday themed. I'm kind of hoping I find some that feel, like appropriate for a holiday, but not like Christmassy, because it would be fun to just start that collection. I've wanted to do that for years. And I am hoping to also find some more shiny bright ornaments because a lot of mine have cracked. Unfortunately, I realized that when we pulled out ornaments to decorate the tree, and just whatever fun things I might not have originally been looking for to see what's out there.
Yeah.
And also just look through all the racks and see what else is in the stores. And
yeah, let's hope that we'll find some good stuff. So that'll be next Friday, the 17th. And again, you can find us. I'm mostly Thrifty Nay. Lola's mostly Run Lola Run. And I am Cold Bright Asterisk Dazzle on eBay. Lola is low2-spy. And again, email us, naylothrift@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. So
if you have any episode ideas for 2022, we're working on the schedule. And if you want to be a guest, definitely email us because we would love to have you. So let us know.
Definitely. And we'll see you next Friday. So everybody have a great week. And Lola, good luck with your shot.
Thank you. I will let you know how it goes. Very, very hopeful now hearing that you're doing a lot better just after 20
I actually feel totally back to normal today. So not a bad thing.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. So thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
Bye.